How's everybody today?
Good morning, West Valley Center for Spiritual Living and Universe, because it's all out there. We are all in the same boat, as we can say. So, welcome to our center. Reverend Karen's kind of revved up this morning, got a little message going on. So, we would like to get the service started with a song called "This Is the Day," and if you would please rise and join in, bring up the spirit, and help me along if we could. So let me change my number. Okay. You ready now?
I'm ready. Am I ready? This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing that with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, yeah. A day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Can feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Woo!
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Glowings. I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I want you, if you get a chance, I want you to take a really close look at Rod's guitar. It is a homemade guitar that he has put together. And his sounds, he can make anything sound wonderful. So good job.
Well, with a little help from my friend John, John Welsh. So thank you, John.
Thank you, John. You're keeping Rod in line, and we appreciate that. All right, so before I go into my announcements, Gloria wants to have a quick announcement.
Yay! I love you guys so much. Listen, I just wanted to thank everyone for all the donations. It was absolutely amazing. You guys really showed out for the emergency bags, and we had enough to donate to Valley View and to Heart, which is an organization that helps at-risk teenagers. We're going to be collecting peanut butter and granola bars for them for August. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
And I want to thank Gloria because this whole Projects of Love thing has really been on fire ever since that she's taken over. So thank you very much, Gloria. Yes, so a couple of announcements. One is when you go into the Papke Hall, they had a craft show yesterday, and they painted rocks. So and Mark's very familiar with painting rocks. But so if you get a chance, when you go through there, please pause at the table there and look at the beautiful rocks that they painted yesterday. This is a spiritual practice that they did yesterday, and they turned out really beautiful. The sound healing meditation, August the 18th. So we have a practitioner, Vernice Reyes, coming in. She's going to be doing the sound healing. And what it is it's with the crystal bowls. And so after service, she's going to be doing a workshop, and it's a love offering of $20. And you just come and you either can lay on the floor, we'll move some chairs away, so come in comfortable clothes, or you can just sit in the chair and she'll do this, the crystal bowls for you. If you have not experienced it, it's a very beautiful experience, and it just really energizes your body. So please join us on August the 20th. Also want to let you know that August the 18th. I also want to let you know that we have the Science of Mind Foundations classes coming up. So Reverend Karen always does an introductory class first. So she's on September the 11th from 1:30 to 3. She's going to do, it's a free class, and basically it's an introductory just to kind of tell you about what is the Foundations class, what we teach in it, to answer any questions that you may have about our teachings. And then the following week, on September the 18th at 1:30, it's a 9-week class that teaches you the basics of our teaching, the way that we pray. And if you are ready to change your life, it is the most incredible class that you could participate in here at the center. And if you've taken it before, I've said this before as well, is that it's always really great to retake it if it's been a while since you've taken it, right? I took the class actually 3 different times, and so we grow. Each one of us are growing, so this allows you to grow even more because you're coming from a different place in consciousness. So please join us for those classes, or one of those classes. And then the last thing is our theme this year is Change Your World. And I saw this beautiful clip on the news this morning, and so I couldn't wait to come in and tell you guys about it. It's about this guy who goes out to the Oregon beaches, and he creates these but he started off with just art in the sand, but now he's created these labyrinths out there on the sand. And it's evolved into people actually coming out and walking his labyrinths that he's created on the sand. It's a temporary thing, right? So when the tide flows in, it washes those labyrinths away. And so it's a very temporary thing, and everybody understands that. And it was such a beautiful, watching this clip on this information to see the people come in, and their kids are jumping and running through it and going crazy. And of course, some people are walking through it very contemplatively, but that's become his ministry, right? Again, he is just sharing his gifts of who he is, and he's changing lives like we could not believe it. So that is a beautiful way. And again, what is our gifts to change this world? What can we do? Because each one of us have that gift. So we come together every Sunday to remember our truth, that we are that individualized expression of God, whole, perfect, and complete, just the way we are. And we come here to remember that truth and to remember that we're loved and supported every step of the way. So, all right, so let's say our vision statement together. So if we can read this together. We are a loving, joy-filled community honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the Science of Mind principles. And so it is. So as we move into our meditation, if you would just simply sit back and relax. Allow your minds and hearts to open up to the Bradford's beautiful music and become centered in this beautiful space that we call love, and open for Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So just take a deep breath as we move within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
Be still and know that right where you are, God is. Right here and now, that divine expression, that incredible wisdom is flowing through each and every one of us. That divine love blesses and multiplies every part of our being, because we know that God is right here inside each and every one of us in this moment. And we know that divine love is expressing itself through us. That divine wisdom is flowing to you and through you, and you are expressing it unto the world. And we give thanks for this, for we know that right here and now, that presence is flowing through every fiber of our being, knowing our divine birthright is unfolding within and around. And I'm so grateful for this knowingness, for myself and for each and every one of you, right here, right now, where God is, I am, and so are you. So as I release this word into the universal law, knowing it is unfolding before us right here and now, thank you, God. I release this word, and together we say, and so it is. Good morning. I'm Reverend Susan Peterson, and today I'm going to read to you from 365, The Science of Mind. Just as a planet turns to the sun, your thoughts turn to the power and draw it down through your being, causing it to manifest through your word. This act you are losing. In this act, you are not losing your identity. You are more intensely self-conscious than ever before. But you are conscious in the larger, less obstructed manner. Whatever you state or affirm, from this altitude of thought, you will produce definite results. The law of life exists in all of us at all times, and we are using it, whether or not we are conscious of that fact. If we wish to make a specific use of the law of life, then we must use it specifically. Now I climb the ladder of thought that takes me above all confusion. Climbing joyously, I pass through the clouds of fear and doubt. I behold the light everywhere. I sense the enveloping presence of love everywhere. The good that I desire, I now affirm and accept, knowing that my definite interactions produce definite results. So take a moment and draw that in and just think, you are one with that divine presence. And it is unfolding right here and now before you. And so it is. Thank you.
This song was written by Karen Drucker. It's called I Am Loved, and we put a little new spin on it. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. I am seen. I am heard. I am loved for who I am. There is nothing I need to change. I am loved. I am loved. I am loved. Help me out a little bit. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are seen. You are heard. You are loved for who you are. There is nothing you need to change. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved.
Wow. Wow. I just feel like I was watching America's Got Talent, and you took an old song that nobody wants you to play with or mess with, and you did it a little bit better. So, wow, thank you for that. That was extraordinary. Thank you, Rod. I think it works. I think it's a good piece of equipment there. We're pretty satisfied with all of that. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I am the leader of this spiritual community, and I'm really happy to welcome you here this morning. We have something really practical and useful to consider in our morning message, and I'm going to be talking today about everything she read about, backed with the power of love, and we're going to see how we can move through our life in a way of using spiritual principles with a practical application, in a way of having tangible results, and in a way where we really are impacting and changing our lives. And so, just so you know, the title of my message is Tangible Results, because I like those words together. And as you might guess, if you've been here before, I didn't make it up, but I found it in a quotation from Dr. Ernest Holmes, who founded this teaching, this particular string of new thought. And Holmes said in the little sweet book, This Thing Called You, Holmes said these words: "Even spiritual laws must be definitely used if they are to produce tangible results in your experience." And so I thought maybe this morning we could do an experiment. Do you want to help me do an experiment? Okay, you don't have to. You can change your mind, but I think this could be really good for all of us if we decide to play. We're going to do an experiment. We're going to start it right now, and we are going to put something out there in the ethers that is of substance that we can use, and we can begin to see how experimenting, we call this, the teaching is called science of mind, and the word science comes from the idea that we want to prove this stuff. So we want an experiment that will be personalized to you individually, that you can use, and later today, I promise you, if you don't know before you leave here, if you have done the experiment well, you will know what I'm about to ask you. So let's just do some affirmations. We're going to say them out loud together. Just repeat after me. They're short and sweet. This time that we are together, this time will be well spent. This time will be well spent. Period. Exclamation mark, yeah. I will find my gem by 11 a.m. Very well done. I will seek tangible truth. And I expect tangible results. Whoa, can you feel the energy in here? Now, so we have just changed the environment, and we have opened the door as long as we stand in alignment to those affirmations, to expect tangible results. So I just want to tell you a little bit about this teaching, the science of mind. It didn't come to the planet more than 100 years ago to be another great religion. In fact, it wasn't ever destined to be a religion. It was a really smart man who had this ability to see the synthesis of truth in all religions, and that he took a little piece of that and a little piece of that over there, and he put it all together where we're looking at sometimes what we call perennial wisdom. So he wasn't a saint, and he wasn't a prophet, and he didn't have any intention to start a new religion. But what this is a spiritual philosophy. So for many of us, it is a faith. And for people sitting right in this room right now or listening online, it's not your religion, that you're interested in it for other reasons, because it's a spiritual philosophy that for many of us is the faith that we stand by. And so knowing that anything that we look at in terms of a way of life, that there used to be I bet some of you, maybe Sue Witter knows this, maybe even Reverend Susan Peterson knows this. Woo, about 2 more weeks, we'll be able to call you Reverend too. Woo, I'm so excited. We used to have a license plate ring that you could purchase at different Science of Mind bookstores, and it said, Science of Mind, a philosophy, a faith, a way of life. And I love those words. That, for me, describes what we are. But we do this in a really practical way where we expect to see tangible results in the way that we make changes in living our lives aligned to spiritual truths. But the truths that speak to you the most, those are going to be the most important for you. And they may be a little different than the truths that speak to me the most. Like, come on, we're going to do our own thing anyway, right? So you might as well be choosy about it. So this is, we call it sometimes mental science. We have a scientific approach to affirmative prayer, and we have a methodology that we call the creative process, and those are all the things I talk about in that foundational class. But we are looking at the way, as Dr. Holmes used to say frequently, quoting Ralph Waldo Emerson, he would talk about the way we can look at nature and start to understand some of the physical laws of nature. And what we would see if we really contemplated that is that those physical laws that we can witness, you can't see the law, but you can witness the effect of the physical laws, are the identical laws that we have for spiritual truths as well. And that we can learn by watching nature how to make decisions and choices in living our own lives. And anybody that lives close to the earth knows that. I love that. There's a trending that's happening for not only sustainable living, but gosh, people have just taken gardening to another level. Kathy Bradford, you're a really good example of that, actually, to where we are really learning to be more in sync with what nature has. And when we live our lives in sync, then something happens. So we don't have to take a art history class to figure out that if you mix blue paint and yellow paint, you get green paint. Right? Okay, phew, thought I said it wrong for a minute. It was awfully quiet. You don't have to understand science to do that. Most of us, probably even before kindergarten, we were playing with our crayons and we were mixing colors and we began to notice those things even though we didn't have a language to articulate it. But these are universal laws that don't change. And so when we look at the way the universe has this intelligence to hold everything together and keep everything in sort of a perfect order, things like gravity begin to make sense. We don't have to understand the law of gravity, but it makes sense. A long time ago, there was a bumper sticker that said, gravity, not just a good idea, it's the law. And so that's how I think of spiritual principles. I can understand them or we can be naive to them. It doesn't matter. But if you notice that your life falls a little, you're thinking like a little, if you fall into that victimhood easily, then maybe some spiritual principles could help you get a strong support system to where you're a little more in charge of your thinking instead of shaming, blaming, looking outside of you for the peace that we desire to experience in our own living. So there are laws, sometimes we call them principles, that keep the universe in order. We understand the tide flows in and then out. Day follows night. We get it. We count on it. And the birds suddenly appear every time you are near. 'Cause just like me, they long to be close to you. So thank you for the love theme. It's like sometimes I need that help, you know. So I'd love to sing on the pulpit. It's so sad. So I know. I'm trying to let it sink in so I don't do it again for a long time. None of these laws, the principles that govern the universe, none of them can be seen with the human eye, as I mentioned. We can study them, we can learn about them, but what I'm looking at for you to take home today is that we can learn that there are tangible results that happen because of cause and effect. You know, that we make decisions and then there are always repercussions or consequences, and not bad necessarily, but that we can plant good seeds of possibility as well. we throw words like consciousness around and principle, and it occurs to me every now and then that not everybody relates to those words. They're not all that common in everyday language. But when we're talking about a principle, when I'm talking about spiritual laws as being a principle, it's helpful to look at understanding the definition. Principles they serve as a foundation for an organization or a system. And so a corporation can have guiding principles. We have guiding principles. We want to know what our values are. We have mission statement and a purpose statement. So we use principles to set a tone so that no matter what we do, we can have a line, a chain of reasoning. This thought, if I stay on principle, will take me to that thought, and we head toward the result that whatever we're seeding, we can use it in a logical way. And the more that we reason on, which is not you're not encouraged in church very often to reason on things. If you reason too much on religious stuff, you might not be so religious, which is interesting. Dr. Holmes used to say, how did he say it? Thank God the church that most people believe in, or the God that most people believe in isn't. Because he had a very open idea of how to define God. And so it's not we don't look at a punishing God. Thank God the God that isn't what most people think it is. And every now and then it's important to revisit that, to know that in the consciousness of the human race, we don't have an agreeable definition of what God is. In fact, I had one speaker here. I was so happy I was here to hear him say it. He said we have because we're 7 billion people on the planet, we have 7 billion different gods we believe in because we individualize it. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So the more that we reason on those principles, the better we can understand that life has a certain flow about it, a certain element of that flow that is divine. It's like the intelligence that created the universe, that makes our bodies know how to function as a human body and keep their breath moving and the blood pumping and all of that. That there are, when we harmonize with that, we follow that line of reasoning, we then suddenly begin to be able to see that more in the life that we live. We begin to see how things work. Let me give you an example. I remember as a child sitting on the playground during, I guess, recess. It was elementary school. And there were a group of girls. They were the cool girls. I was never a cool girl. Anybody else? No, like, yeah, no, I was never a cool girl. I wonder if the cool girls thought they were cool. Maybe nobody. Yeah? Oh, she goes, yeah, we did. That was good. That was really fun. Thank you. I'm so glad I said that. So I remember sitting on the playground watching other girls jump rope, except they were doing double dutch, right? I couldn't even throw those ropes, that would be too confusing for my poor little brain. So they're doing double dutch, and I was born with some kind of, I couldn't always play rough, like I couldn't do certain things at certain time periods in my life, so I'm watching on the sideline, and I'm thinking, how do they get in and out of that jump rope without, getting twisted up in the ropes? But it was like magic. And so I have no idea how long it took me to figure this out, but I just sat on the blacktop and watched them. And one day, it dawned upon me of itself, as I like to say, quoting the Course in Miracles, it dawned on me, oh, there's a rhythm. There's a pattern. There's a timing in which you harmonize what your body does and when it moves, and there's a way you get in and there's a way you get out. And I thought, wow. Now I think, not then. I don't think I thought profound thoughts yet. Yeah, I probably did, right? I was probably even a cool girl and didn't know it. But I see that movement of the ropes going, opposing each other almost, going at each other. as a beautiful illustration of life and how we're always weaving ourselves in and out of relationships and financial predicaments and health issues and all of it. And it is our experiences that we live in that nature is that the physics of jump rope, double dutch, has great lessons for us. Take your time. Observe. Feel it, embody the movement. Sort of like coming to a party late and everybody's in their own little places and you don't know where you want to land and you're a little uncomfortable. This would never happen to you, I know, because you wouldn't. Never mind. You wouldn't show up. We're hoping she'll show up for her own party is where we're at. She's promised that she will on September 1st. So what I know is there are these universal principles that we can learn from. Blue and yellow will always make green. We understand that when the temperature outside drops below 32 degrees, and if there's any moisture, if it should be any precipitation, if you live if you live in certain climates, you understand if it's below 32 and there's precipitation that the roads might be slick. So see, it pays to have some knowledge about how the physical laws work, and it does the same in our spiritual well-being. You know, the planets orbit around the sun. Do you know, I think about the rainbow. The rainbow, when you see a rainbow, I love rainbows. I always send, whenever there's a rainbow, we get good ones right out here. I send Reverend Clyde pictures of them because I love them so much. And the rainbow always it falls in the same color spectrum. If you watch it, it's always red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. The color spectrum, by nature of the physics that surround and support life, will always be in that order. And we don't have to know why. We haven't always had the knowledge that we've had. I think a perfect example is when they believed, I was going to look it up. Mark Reed, you should do this for me. We used to believe that the earth was the center of the universe. Now, I was thinking about that while I was writing this talk, like now that's just funny to us now, or, you know, I won't talk about the flat earth because, you know, then you get into some conspiracy stuff. But the idea that the earth was the center of the universe and everything revolved around us, I mean, it's fitting because we are the center of our own universe. You're going to see the world through Rod's eyes, and you're going to see the world through her eyes, and we're all going to see it our way. We are the center of our own universe, and nothing's wrong with that. I mean, we don't want you to be like self-centered and make everybody else miserable, but that's all you got is you. You know, partners know that. Partners don't see eye to eye on everything. So what I know is that as I'm looking at the way history has changed and science has given us new understandings and astronomers have re-explained the ways the things orbit and that the sun is the center of the earth. Can you imagine being alive when they started telling that? And don't you know, this really strikes me as profoundly important. There were people that went to their grave saying, oh, that's a bunch of malarkey, those young people, they just think they know everything. Ha! And so, you know, things don't change that much. I think a lot of the chaos we see happening in the world is the same thing. It's like we're all trying to transition and figure out all kinds of things, and we're not all happy about, we will never come to agreement, and what if that's okay? More information, you know, will come. When we're not here anymore, it'll be other generations, then there'll be other things they've changed, and we would be the ones going, not on my watch, that malarkey, no, I'm not going to believe that. So we can use these ideas to sort of stay more open-minded in our, not just the physical world, but I'm looking really about tangible results in terms of demonstrating a spiritual way of living that will impact our physical, material world, not only for ourselves in a better way, but for all of us in a better way. Dr. Holmes said this is a fabulous quote. If we look deeply into nature, she will reveal herself to us. We suffer not because suffering is imposed upon us, but because we are ignorant of our true nature. You know, we forget who we are. We forget that we are love. We forget that we're made in the image and likeness in this miraculous way, that there's something divine about our very being alive on the planet right now. There's something divine about that. So I don't care for that word. He says that a lot. I think it was maybe more common when Holmes was living and writing. We suffer because we are ignorant of our true nature. I think we're just naive. And then things happen because life happens. And things shift and change, and we suffer when we have this space in life where we're really seeing life as pairs of opposites. So it's our nature to say, oh, that's good, oh, that's not good, that's bad. You know, oh, that's pretty, no, that's ugly. Oh, I like this, oh, I hate that. And that's just human nature, that we're sort of looking at contrasts so that we can clarify what we're thinking about. We suffer because we can't see things in the unified whole that they really are. So we're suffering right now because we've had a very tragic thing unfold. Instead of a baby shower yesterday, the women that showed up painted rocks in honor of baby Rilo, who will not be coming home to his mom and dad. So last week we were celebrating this new life that was about to be born into our spiritual community, and we were so happy, and now there's no baby. And the parents are struggling. You know, this is a really hard loss for anybody. And it's kind of an unusual loss for us as a spiritual community because of our demographic. We don't have we have not had a pregnant woman sit for the entire pregnancy in our sanctuary. So I just want to commend the women that are here that helped organize that event. It was a tragic and sudden shift. They only had a couple days to figure out, now what do we do? And we can't even notify everybody and let people know. And they turned it into something beautiful. And I want you to know that Jillian did come and just allowed us to, I wasn't there, but she received love. And I know that it had to be healing for her, and it had to be healing for everybody that was there. And I believe it was the beginning of us healing as a community. If your heart is touched by that and you'd like to help, there is a GoFundMe to support the family in the mortuary costs. So see Juliana or Kendra in the sound booth, or just wait, I'll make sure it's in the newsletter too. So we suffer because that doesn't make sense to us, because there are no answers as to why something like that happens. These, however, are the very things that call us to faith. To understand that the law, see, we don't believe in this teaching, we don't promote any idea of a God that took a baby, or that the angels needed the baby, or there's another angel. We don't promote any of that thinking. What we understand is that things happen in life. Look, right now, all of us are an hour older than we were before we came in the door, right? It's just life. and things happen that don't make any sense. And that's why it's so helpful to have a spiritual grounding that we can, and to have each other as well, and a safe place where we can go, why? That doesn't make any sense. And I just want to say, God didn't do this. It isn't that God helps some and helps the others. It's not like that. It's the same conversation we had about prayer a couple of weeks ago. God doesn't answer some prayers more than others. We experience life, and our spiritual resilience is what will help us heal and return to center and get on with life. So I just wanted you to needed to publicly announce that so you would know that's happening for us, and that's what we can do about it. But when Holmes says things like our ignorance or our naivety to the way the spiritual laws work does not protect us from the results of it, it's sort of like tripping when you're walking around somewhere and you trip on something and you take a fall. Well, you violated the law of gravity, right? Things just happen. So I thought that, I was thinking that I just bought a new water bottle. Good segue. Here's a good segue for you. Take a breath. I bought a new water bottle, and I'm not in love with it yet. I'm not sure I'm going to like it. It's tall and thin. It's real pretty, but it's waterproof, and that's why I bought it, because for all these years I've been carrying a water bottle around. It's not waterproof, and I have this really bad habit. About twice a week I get out of my car and I grab my old favorite water bottle, and then when I lean over to get my book bag out of the back seat, I lean over and my water pours either into my purse that has fallen here or my book bag, and it's a big hassle. Paper and water should not mingle in the same place. So I'm trying to get used to this new water bottle, and I kind of feel like I'm doing war with it. But what I want to say is, I'm a slow learner, that I'm still, after maybe 10 years of having my favorite water bottles, that I just keep making the same mistake. So can we lighten up a little bit on some of our bad habits that if it doesn't harm anybody but me, it's maybe okay. I don't know. But here's an interesting piece of trivia. Got a good piece of trivia for you. It's a scientific fact that I figured out all by myself. I'm quite proud of it. And although I admit there are probably a lot of women in here that also know this scientific fact, men, you probably don't know anything at all about what I'm about to say. Did you know that a butter knife can be either a flathead or a Phillips head screwdriver? Oh, I keep a butter knife in all my pen holders around my house, because you never know when you might need to tighten a screw somewhere. So there are all these things about life that we can adapt. For me, pulling out the toolbox and having to, it's heavy, and then I have to open, I'd rather have a butter knife, and it works for me. I wouldn't try and build something with it, but a butter knife works perfect for me. I think the mistakes we make in our lives, especially the big ones, those are the ones we remember the best. Those are the ones that have the most potential to help us make changes in our life. As many of us have accidentally been cleaning in the bathroom, let's say, and you've mixed chemicals and you didn't realize you did that till suddenly you're trying to open the house up to get the fumes out, right? Or you didn't dry your hands quite enough before you pulled that plug out of the wall, and you get a little shock. You learn about the law of electricity. So those kinds of mistakes are very good teachers. We don't usually do those more than a couple times, unlike my water bottle. But we also make relational mistakes. I think there are lots of times where we say something, and without really realizing what we've done, we might hurt somebody's feelings. So those are, I notice in my own life, when I'm home alone and I'm rethinking conversations, that brings pain to me to remember that. And that's why it's so sweet to save that word sorry. Be sorry when you've done something that you would like to correct. I don't want us to be sorry or have that sorrow in the way we extend compassion and I've talked a little bit about that last week, but it's a fine line. But Brene Brown, I'm reminded, said the best quote is that save sorry. We say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Save your sorries for when you really need to ask somebody to accept your apology, or you're just communicating that you're aware of something you did that you wish you hadn't done, and whatever. But here's the deal. All of it is fodder. We can use all of it. But here's the deal. Do you know in the laboratory, if the scientist makes a mistake, and it turns out to be a good thing they learn, they call it a happy accident. Did you know that? I did not know that. It's a happy accident. Do you like that? I know, I do too. They call it happy accidents. So let me tell you about some happy accidents. Penicillin, 1928. Alexander Fleming went on vacation and left everything in his laboratory the way it was, and he came back 2 weeks later and he noticed in a little petri dish that there was mold growing in one corner, and he had been doing experiments with the bacteria, the staph bacteria, and he observed that the staph wouldn't get near the mold. And voila, that became research then. That was not planned. It was a happy accident that led us to penicillin. Safety glass. A French chemist dropped a flask in a laboratory, and it shattered, but it didn't fall apart. It stayed together. And then he went to do the work and to see, well, why did that happen? And he realized that the last thing in that flask was a cellulose nitrate, and that it had left an invisible coating, a layer on the inside of the glass. And now we have safety glass. These two things have saved, uncountable numbers of lives. And then there's cornflakes. Probably didn't save any lives, but Kellogg, they made us happy. The Kellogg brothers, John and William, I think, they left bread dough out overnight. They didn't intend to leave this bread dough out on the counter, and they came back in the morning and went, well, what are we going to do with that? And they started rolling it, and it began to break apart in these little flakes, and they created this idea of having cold cereal, how quick and easy, and and something sort of nutritious, and they made cornflakes. But my favorite is the Slinky. Everybody loves the Slinky, right? Who could resist playing with a Slinky? It's the best part about grandkids. You get to play with those fun toys. A naval engineer was trying to develop a spring that would be useful on a ship. So when the ship's in bouncy, stormy, bumpy waters, turbulent waters, that the sensitive equipment could be stabilized. So he's experimenting with all these different springs, and one of them falls off a shelf. I imagine this, that he's on a ship doing it, and the waters are rocky, and the spring falls off, and it just kept moving. And voila, we get a toy. Happy accidents. Happy accidents are things that are a result of something unexpected that's kind of a whoops or an uh-oh, seemingly, and then the scientist has an open mind and ponders, what does that mean? And looks into other things. This is what we are invited to do when we're talking about looking at the physical laws that govern the universe and translating them into spiritual understanding so that we can see the methods and we can see the patterns and the rhythm and get in sync with that divinity so that we can move in a divine current, which is much different than trying to figure things out without that. So a scientist can take something that seems to have been a mistake or gone wrong, and he can turn it into something that serves humanity, like penicillin and safety glass. Happy accidents happen when we pay attention. I'm wondering, how many oops, uh-ohs in our own, divorces, bad job choices, how many of those are really happy accidents that happened in our life. It's a sweet way of looking at it. What we know is that successes and breakthroughs happen all the time, but we have to notice them, and you don't notice them if you don't have an open mind. So we can't be quick to judge a mistake. And I think this would be especially helpful right now if we looked at all the judgments we have about things going on in the world. The difficult things that we go through, this is what we know, bottom line. The difficult things we go through are the very things that shape us into something more than we were. So, in a way, you're a lab technician in your own life. You are experimenting. Maybe the purpose of life has something to do with that. Maybe that term, Earth School, is valuable for us to consider. Whether you're learning to double dutch, jump rope, or mix colors, mend relationships, or heal what ails you. I can't help but think of that quote, scripture from Corinthians. The greatest of these is love. And love is the greatest healing power in the universe. You can't learn to swim from a book. You got to get in the water. And sometimes things that happen in a community cause us to swim when we'd rather sort of stay on the shore. So we're looking for that way to support each other, to allow our love to flow. I mean, sadness is normal. Sadness, remember, is the very way we are carved out to have greater compassion. So sometimes when you're looking at getting in the water, it's murky or it's choppy, and, that's how life is. Sometimes life is messy, and we are created in such a way that we're designed to be able to know that this too shall pass. Humanity is learning right now. We are beginning to master some skill in capturing the power of the waves and the wind and the sun so that we can use that power in a tangible way. And all of that those are renewable resources. And I think that's the perfect way for us to look at this idea of what is God, what is spirit, what is my relationship to all of that. It's that power, and it's that presence, and it's always got the pattern going. The power is always there. And if we could see God as the best renewable resource, and maybe the only that we actually need, everything will fall into a better order. I love that quote he said. I quoted at the beginning of the talk. If we look deeply into nature, we will learn our own nature. Because when we look deeply, we start to see possibilities instead of limitations. We are reminded frequently, and these are again the words of Holmes, but God works for us by working through us. But it only becomes a power when we recognize that it is a power. So can we conceive of that great power, that presence of God in the universe in our own lives? Can we believe that peace is possible? Can we train our minds a little bit more to know that every time I bend over, that gravity's going to let the water spill out? Can I train myself so that I fit in a more fluent way into these life things? Can we train our minds to see more good? I say yes, we can. And I think then that we can expect tangible results. You are the experimenter in your own life. And only you alone, can prove or not prove. It's up to you. So I'll close with this quote. Dr. Holmes said, "There's a divine awareness within you which will lead you upward and onward. So prepare yourself for an ascent." And that's what needed to be said today. take a nice deep breath. And in your mind's eye, imagine that the many words that have been spoken this morning are falling around this room and wherever you might be listening from, that those ideas are things. And one of those things is just for you. So open your hand and grasp whatever that is and hold it for a little while. For it may be your tangible result of the experiment. I feel the love of God in this room. And I know that it is such a powerful force that it radiates beyond the walls of this building. I know that the vibration of these words inhabit whatever ears are listening. And therefore there is something transformational about sitting and resting in this quiet peace of God. I feel the love of God within me, and I know that it is the activity of life, that there is a rhythm, there is a perfection to that rhythm, that there is divine order revealing itself in a pattern in just the same way that we learn to jump rope or drive a car or swim. We observe and we look for those patterns and we embody these truths that everywhere around us in nature, this beautiful gift of nature is exhibiting to us more and more of what's possible. So we rest in this truth that there is a divine intelligence that has kissed us into being, and that intelligence lives in every cell, every molecule of our being, so that whatever ails us can be healed. Whatever seems in discord can be reordered into a better order. And that even as we are willing to look more closely to recognize the unity of all of life, we will begin to see that there is peace and there is love and there is happiness and there is compassion and there is a way that we join together to hold each other up when we need to. And still there is nothing lacking or missing. It is just that cohesive nature of life itself. So I know there is a healing that is happening, not only in our relationships, not only in our physical bodies for all those people we love and care about who have been under care, but that there is a healing that is so deep and so profound that it exudes from our being. And we know that this is the way that the grace of God uplifts us, restores us, reveals another layer of perfection or wholeness, and that we are realigned by the words of this prayer. We are readjusted by the truths that have been spoken this day, and we take our truth. We take those values that we know are ours, and we dedicate ourselves to live in integrity to these deep and wonderful spiritual truths, knowing that there is a power and a presence that is greater than we are. And so, when we need to be comforted, we can trust that we are carried sweetly in the hands of God. I say thank you, life. Thank you, God. Thank you, infinite Spirit. For in this way we are restored to our wholeness. In this way we are strong in spiritual truth and we thrive. And so with a deep sense of gratitude, I simply release these words into the divine law, knowing indeed that they are already done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful. Grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see is love reflected, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
Oh, thank you, Bradford. I am grateful. So I just want to share really quickly. So I don't know about you guys, but we have the most beautiful opening meditation for our opening service. And the Bradfords have been the ones that have created that. They've created it with the chimes. They've created it with their music. They created it with the peace image that they've had. And I just want us to honor them and just give them a round of applause for that beautiful. So I thank you guys. I wasn't here last Sunday, and when I go away and I come back and I sit in the room and I can just feel the love in this room, and it starts with that beautiful opening meditation that we have every Sunday. So thank you guys so much for that. So now's the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community, and so knowing that we are loved and supported every step of the way. So let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that with me. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. And sing it. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Woo.
Oh, yes, it does. All right, so let's say our closing affirmation together. Just repeat after me. I am open to understanding spiritual principles.
I am open to understanding spiritual principles.
And I use universal laws to create tangible results.
And I use universal laws to create tangible results.
And so it is. That's a long mouthful, isn't it?